Could the Alabama Crimson Tide get a commitment from a newly decommitted player out of Georgia?
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. We want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks, everybody, for making this your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. So, Jimmy, Xavier Griffin is a guy you and I have coveted oh so much, and just a fantastic player out of Gainesville, Georgia. He is a five-star linebacker. A lot of people think he's the best linebacker in this class. He is number 8 on the 24/7 site. He's only number 53 on the On3 site, which doesn't make sense. It makes even less sense. He's number 77 on Rivals, and he's number 29 on ESPN. And the funny thing is, for Rivals, he's the number 77 player, but the number 2 linebacker. And for ESPN, he's number 29 player, but number 3 linebacker.
That's going to add up to consensus 5-star, though. I mean,
100%
5-star, industry 5-star, I would think.
Well, his industry ranking, according to according to On3, is number 28, and that is 28 with a bullet. I mean, he's
ultimately a 5-star. If you're top 32, you're ultimately a 5-star. They're just not going to award. I mean, but if you're in top 32, then that's 5-star.
But he's awesome. And you and I talked about it the day he committed to USC because we felt like Alabama had a great shot here. He commits to USC, and what's the first thing that I said?
You did. I'll give you some credit. Give some
credit. My God. Look, I don't get a lot of credit. I've been married twice. You think I get any credit? I got 4 kids. You think somebody gives me credit?
Well, I'm going to give you some credit here. You said when he committed to USC, you're like this. Watch him for decommitment, and that's finally. I say finally, well, because we're still kind of early in the process. It's what happened yesterday, and interestingly, unlike a lot of decommitments, he decommits from USC, announces official visits, and he ain't even visiting USC. He broke up. He didn't just break up with USC. He got divorced.
Yeah, he did. This is not one of those divorces like I had an aunt that did that. Got divorced, remarried the same guy, then divorced again, remarried a new guy, divorced him, remarried him again. So anyway,
give me flashbacks.
This isn't going to be one of those situations. This is not.
No. He's done. He's done with USC.
He doesn't even have USC tattooed on him. He has nothing. But he is a man. He's one of my favorite players in this class. Mm-hmm. He really is. I mean, I don't care what he's ranked. I love him. And he was, just as we were coming on air to record, he was given a crystal ball on the 24/7 site, I believe, by Ben Woke. Let me see if that's right.
I don't know that.
Ben Woke.
Okay. I don't know that one.
So,
crystal ball to Alabama?
Yeah, crystal ball to Alabama.
That's pretty aggressive.
Now, but this guy's got an 84% hit rate. So
okay, nice. Alabama is a definitive possibility here. Let's start with this. This dude's originally from Alabama. Not only is he originally from Alabama, he's originally from the Sparkman area and grew up with Jamarian Matthews. And he's so tight with Jamarian Matthews, he's playing high school football with Jamarian Matthews in Gainesville, Georgia. And don't even get me started on Xavier Griffin and Jamarian Matthews on the same high school defense. Because not only are they great prospects, they're already great players. So it's got to be very difficult to move the ball against that bunch. So he's tight with Jamarian Matthews. Also appear through Bones reporting. I think he's also tight with Jordan Edmonds somehow, the cornerback from Sprayberry that's committed to Alabama. I like Alabama's chances here a lot. I do think a crystal ball is aggressive based on what I know. I don't think this is like some Alabama slam dunk lock thing at all. But there's some good news here. The very fact that he decommitted from USC, as predicted by Luke Robinson pretty much on the day he committed to USC, the fact that he decommitted from USC is a clear signal that NIL is not going to control the situation. If this was all about, I'm going to play for the highest bidder, then he would still be committed to USC and he would still be headed out there. So this is a kid that's taking into account other factors as well. Now, keep in mind, when you say NIL isn't a factor, that doesn't mean that you don't have to have a significant NIL offer to sign a kid like that, because you do. And thankfully for us,
factor.
It's not the factor,
yeah.
but it's always a factor. And rest assured, Alabama's offer is going to have to be highly competitive, to land him. And that's how Alabama recruits so well, because the NIL offers are competitive with the vast majority of teams out there. It's just rarely the highest.
Well,
when chances, but I'm not ready to say he's going to Alabama. I just think Alabama is strongly in the mix.
Yeah, I would say I'm with you. I'm not ready to crystal ball this either. I will say I think Jordan Edmonds rearranged his visit plans to Alabama to coincide when Xavier Griffin will be going there, which is June 6th. And that's what – and so I don't think that's coincidental.
It's big. It's big because no one has a greater influence on recruiting than your peer group. I mean, prior to NIL, I would say it was almost the number one factor. But, hey, as good as recruiting as coaches are and coaches can be, their buddies are even better recruiters.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, just imagine this. A parent of one of you're in high school, and a parent of one of your friends is selling you on something. You're going to listen. It's your friend going, come on, let's do this. You're going to do it, even if sometimes you end up in trouble, right? I mean, so the fact that these guys are all tight is good news for Alabama. And that's when these visit weekends, there's more logic to it than people know. It literally is about, hey, we got to put this guy with this guy. We got to put this guy with this guy. Maybe even, hey, these two don't know each other, but they're going to really hit it off. They're the same kid. They're going to hit it off. And a lot of thinking goes into all that. It's not just willy-nilly.
I love talking about how NIL, because it's like you do have to put an asterisk by it. I know what you were saying. We're like, NIL is not a factor. Well, NIL is in there. It's ingrained in it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's not the one thing. Now, having said that, when we say it's not the factor, we are assuming nobody's going out of bounds with some gigantic offer. And it doesn't. I don't know why this made me think of this, because the more I tried to make this analogy work, it doesn't. But it was like The Simpsons when Lisa was asked to go to the Krusty the Clown special by Ralph Wiggum, and Lisa was like, I don't want to do this with him. I don't have any feelings for him. And Bart said, I'll go, and I'll just dress like you. And she's like, well, what if he wants to hold hands? He goes, I'll do that. He goes, what if he wants to kiss you? He goes, I'll do that. She goes, what if he wants to? He goes, look, you don't want to know what I'll do for this. and I was like,
awesome.
That's kind of like, when NIL gets so big, you're like, yeah, I'm going to go to Hawaii State. They offered me an island. Hey. Like if somebody offers you something crazy, you'll go. But so we do want to clarify, when we're saying NIL is not the factor, we're assuming everybody's within the same galaxy.
And I forgot here, remind me, Krusty the Clown's brother that was voiced by Fraser Crane. What's that guy's name?
Sideshow Bob.
Sideshow Bob. Sideshow Bob's one of the funniest cartoon characters in the history of cartoons. Sideshow Bob is just, he needed to have his own show.
It's even funnier to me as a kid who grew up. See, we didn't have cable at my parents' house down at the lake, because they didn't run cable down there then. And so I was like praying that I'd always spend like my grandparents, because I could get up in the morning and watch the Bozo the Clown show on WGN. Yeah. And my God, if Krusty the Clown isn't what Bozo the Clown probably truly was, I'll kiss your tuchus.
I watched Bozo the Clown on WGN as a kid.
He had the grand prize game where you had to throw the ping pong balls.
Yeah. Now I thought to myself when I was a kid, like, I'd be so good at this. I remember being like 9 years old. Do
you remember how sad it was when kids would miss bucket one? And like, I was like, you're going to give him a mulligan or something right now. And Krusty's like, just get out of here, kid.
Krusty's like, so you're even calling him Krusty.
Yeah, I called him Krusty, both of them. Well, which one's better? Is it better to be called Bozo or Krusty?
The answer is Sideshow Bob, who's not even really a clown.
All right. So in the end, To summarize, we feel like Alabama gets Xavier Griffin.
I like Alabama's chances. Yeah, we got a little sidetracked there.
We got a little sideshow Bob.
Sidetracked on sideshow.
Oh, man. But you know who never, ever gets sidetracked? And that's Wayfair. I love me some Wayfair. Spring is here. It's in the air. And that means it's home project season. Whether you're refreshing a room or tackling a full renovation, Wayfair is the best kept secret for all things home improvement. I'll say this. I don't even know this is secret anymore. I saw their commercial the other day. I was like, I want some of that stuff. I got to get me some of that stuff. From small updates like stylish cabinet hardware to major upgrades like new vanities, sinks, or outdoor lighting, Wayfair has quality products for every budget. Look, me and my wife are always upgrading, and by me and my wife, I mean my wife, and she loves to use things. And I've turned her on to Wayfair. She's been looking at it and looking at some possibilities there. I love that they have top brands like GE and Moen at great prices. Wayfair makes home improvement easy. Get started now at wayfair.com. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every single home. All right, so we're to number 77 on your roster countdown.
Yeah, can you believe it? 77.
Can you believe it?
That means we are 11 weeks. I mean, literally 11 weeks from the start of fall camp, and the first NFL preseason game is that night. 11 weeks from the day we're recording this. So you're probably listening to this less than 11 weeks. So here we are in 77. Hasn't arrived yet. He's just now getting to Tuscaloosa. I believe he'll be there around June 1st. And that's Chuck McDonald, cornerback.
Didn't he put out a picture the other day?
He sort of looks like $1 million.
That guy looks like he's a 32-year-old boxer and a good one.
He's a ripped up cornerback, clearly a hardworking kid. You could tell from the photos alone. And look, he's down here for a couple of reasons. It has nothing to do with the long-term forecast here. And as a matter of fact, this one could be wrong. This could be one y'all could come back later and say, boy, Stein thought that guy was going to redshirt. Boy, he was wrong. And that could be the case. I just think the late arrival pushes you into likely redshirt territory. The fact he's not getting here to the summer, didn't go through to learn the defense throughout the spring. Bigger factor to me is just the depth at corner. We don't have a lot of bodies, a lot of players at corner, but what we do have, the guys you do have are going to play. I mean, Xavier Brown and Damani Jackson, they're the unquestioned starters, yet Dijon Lee and Cam Calhoun, they're going to play. I mean, there's no doubt Dijon Lee and Cam Calhoun are going to play, and they're going to be way up higher in the rankings. There's even a fifth guy that's hard to imagine he won't play some, and that's Red Morgan. Spent last year at Husky, been sort of moved to corner. Don't think we'll see him at Husky or safety. They played him at corner. And by the way, it was Red Morgan's move to cornerback at Central Phoenix City that got him an Alabama offer by the Saban staff. It was when Red Morgan moved to corner that they became really interested in Red. So now Red's at corner for Alabama. It's hard to imagine he won't at least be the fifth guy. So if you got five, I'm not really sure why the sixth guy is going to get a lot of snaps, but he might, because the sixth guy here is Chuck McDonald, who's really good. Alabama has just feasted on these California corners. They've all been so, I mean, Damani's from California, Xavier and Dijon, they're all from there. Chuck McDonald is arriving with the same level of fanfare, the same type of fanfare generally. Reminds me most of Xavier. And there's that photo. Reminds me mostly of Xavier Brown as a player. When I watched Chuck McDonald's tape at Modern Day, I joked. I remember joking on BOL at the time, like, I think I just watched Chuck McDonald's tape, but that might have been Xavier Brown's. I mean, they were just, to me, remarkably similar as players, and we saw what Xavier Brown did last year as a true freshman. So fantastic pickup for Alabama, and I think Chuck McDonald has a great chance to be a great player. He's just arriving late as cornerback 6, and that might dictate a redshirt season for him. Doesn't mean he won't be solidly in the mix year 2 as a potential starter or co-starter.
I'm going to make a prediction. This doesn't redshirt. and look, here's
not going out on a limb.
As you're looking at this picture, and you look at those abs. Oh, I mean, Demetri Martin, who's now one of my favorite comedians, he had a thing the other day. He's like, I get that society loves people with great abs. I get it. Like, you look at their abs and go, oh my God, they're so good looking. He said, but what are we really saying here? Like, oh my God, look at him. Bet he can poop really fast. That just got, I don't know why that got me. But
that's good.
Chuck McDonald, the fastest pooper on the team. But no, he's a physical specimen, y'all. I mean, he is a dude. And yeah, I love, again, when you see somebody that looks like this about to come in, you go, okay, this is a guy.
What are we going to do?
Work.
What are we going to do? What are we going to do to improve that? I mean, and one thing is, as a corner, it's not like that's the most jacked up position anyway. I mean, you don't want to just add 20 pounds of muscle weight, because then you know what? Then you probably don't have a cornerback. You have something else. So, these players have to have bodies that fit the prototype of their position. There's a history of this in the NFL about what's this guy supposed to look like. And anyway, Chuck McDonald, I like the Xavier Brown comp there, and we see what Xavier did as a freshman. I think Chuck McDonald can be as good as Xavier, but he's not arriving at a time like Xavier did where there's immediate opportunity.
One quick recruiting note: Alabama did visit Nick Abrams the second, a linebacker target that they love, and it feels good there. I mean, again, I say it feels good there, and then every time I say that, it seems like an Elbert Hill commits to USC or something. By the way, I'm going to go out on a limb. Elbert Hill didn't go to USC.
Wow. Okay. I think Elbert Hill more likely to go to USC than Xavier was, but I'm with Luke. I'm glad we don't have to bet on these things. By the way, it needs to be said, because you mentioned Nick Abrams. Xavier Griffin projected to be a Wolf, which is an outside linebacker at Alabama playing for Christian Robinson. Nick Abrams projected to be an inside linebacker. I mean, he played for Chuck Morrell inside at we call the inside positions in this Womack scheme as Mike and Sting. Mike's sort of the traditional Mike. Sting, we used to call that a will, actually, under Nick Saban, but Sting, just kind of the more athletic move linebacker, guy more likely to play in space. And I think Nick may be, Abrams may be more of a Mike.
Okay, we're going to come back and talk about some little odd and end things, some LeBaron Philon staying in the draft, some softball, and a former Alabama running back getting paid. I did a little YouTube short on this yesterday, shortly after it was announced that Derrick Henry ended up getting a $30 million contract for the next 2 years. I think $25 million of it's guaranteed, I believe, and the total of the contract, when all said and done, is like $37 million. And there on Twitter, I think it was universally applauded for the Ravens. There were a couple of detractors. Like, there were some folks saying, "Hey, man, he's 30 years old. He's washed up." I mean, and I was like,
I must have not watched last season.
Yeah, you didn't watch. Number one, you didn't watch last season. Here's the other thing. I would also get it where somebody would say, and it's just coincidental they both went to Alabama, but where somebody would say, I hate to pay him this much because it reminds me of Shaun Alexander, who was probably the most dominant running back for a few years, and then he got paid, and then he just fell off a cliff, which he did. And I love Shaun Alexander. I just do. But I'll also say this, that I think Derrick Henry is different.
Yep.
I think Shaun is the kind of guy. Shaun likes the spotlight. Shaun's very charismatic. Not that Derrick Henry isn't, but I think Shaun, football was like an ends to a mean. And I think
he was no Saban bot.
He was no Saban bot. You're right. And I think Derrick Henry is like, I play football. You're in front of me. I'm going to hit you very hard and then run past you.
Yeah, Derrick's sort of the ultimate Saban bot, or certainly would rank very highly up there with the Julios.
See, I think Derrick Henry's so different. I don't think you can. I know the general rule of thumb is at 30, you don't sign a running back unless it's for the minimum. I understand that. But this is different. Just like I wouldn't sign a 46-year-old quarterback. But if Tom Brady said, yeah, I'm thinking about it, guess what? Aaron Rodgers is still out there at 40, whatever he is. And if he can go sign with just about anybody, now he's probably going to end up signing with the Steelers, but I'm saying there are exceptions to the rule. And Jerry Rice played well into his 30s. I mean, Derrick Henry is just different. I mean, you can't even – there's no one to compare him to. Even the guys who were his size with his speed, you think about a Bo Jackson, you think about a Herschel Walker, you think about an Earl Campbell. They had so many injuries they dealt with, not because they weren't incredible athletes or because they didn't train or whatever. Some of it's kind of luck. But Henry he's just built differently than anybody in the game right now. And I know Saquon's number one back. I get that. I'm on board. I'll also say this. If Derrick Henry played with Jalen Hurts and that offensive line and those receivers, now Lamar Jackson's very good, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying I would – and he got to play the Cowboys twice a year. I think and the Giants twice a year. I think it would be helpful. But Henry finally getting the love he deserves. I mean, I'm so ecstatic about this. I was really worried, Jimmy, because the NFL is a copycat league. And because everybody is not paying running backs for the most part right now, especially at this age, I was thinking he may get left in the cold, and he's not. And I love it.
Yeah, this seems to violate the number one rule of GMs. And this is the number one. This is in football, baseball, basketball, hockey, all of it. The number one rule of GMs is this. Do not pay a player as a reward for what he's done in the past. You pay a player based on what you think he's going to be in the future. If not, you have wasted the money that you have to spend. And all these guys are working on a budget. The NFL, they call it a literal hard cap, but that's a budget. You've wasted the budget if you're just rewarding someone for, man, you used to be great, so here's a bunch of money. That's a ticket to last place in that league. You have to pay players on what you think they're going to be. And the fact that Derrick, at this age, can generate a contract to pay him in the future, what they think he's going to be going forward, is mind-boggling at his age, at that position. Like, Nick Saban always says, well, they don't make them like they used to. That also applies to Derrick. They didn't make him in the old days either.
They won't make him in the future.
This is a new model. This is a one of one, as the kids say, one of one.
He's a symbiote.
What a great dude too. I mean, no trouble, no scandal. Wasn't attending the freak-offs with P. Diddy and Cassie. He just a super guy.
That is kind of fun. I mean, now I think he does have. I think he's got some children. I'm not sure. I'll check on that. But I've never been one to get wrapped up in an athlete's personal life unless it is very controversial and you want to hear more about what was wrong with this cat. But I don't feel like delving into their personal lives so much. But I hope
when I met Derrick, he was with his wife, I
hope he has several children and they all come to Alabama in any capacity.
His wife, by the way, is very athletic.
But she's athletic. He crashed to Earth, and then this thing attached itself to probably a regular human being, and it later became Derrick Henry. It's like Spider-Man and Venom. That's what it is. Because there's no explanation. In a league full of freaks, he's top 10 freak, and he's 30, and he's like 1,300 yards away from being top 10 all time rushing, and he was misused for 3 or 4 years.
If there was a high school Hall of Fame, he would be in it. He's going to be in the College Football Hall of Fame because he won the Heisman and was an All-American and won national championships. And he's certainly going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Very few football players, I mean, people will be shocked at how little that number is, are worthy of high school, college, and Pro Football Halls of Fame. But Derrick belongs in all of it. And that puts him on the short list of the great players, the great football players of all time.
And not only that, I mean, the character.
The character.
I mean, just a good dude. He doesn't have to work that hard. He just does. And because he works that hard, he still puts out videos every now and again. He's running up hills. And all I can think is, I thought those were only for skiing down. I didn't think you get to go up them.
I saw him on his official visit to Alabama. The weekend he was making his official visit, I saw him, and I've been looking at these kids forever. I knew he was Derrick Henry because of the face, but if I had not known that was Derrick Henry, I literally would have assumed that was a defensive end. Not, he might be a tight end. No, he looked like a defensive end prospect.
He is going to be, and here's the sad part. Because he's not super flamboyant, super I'm the star, and because he hadn't done things like jump over somebody backwards like Saquon Barkley or whatever, and also I guess because he hadn't won a Super Bowl yet, he's going to be appreciated 4 or 5 years after the fact versus being appreciated now, because that run that he had against the Jaguars for like 99 yards still boggles my mind. I've never jumped out of bed for an NFL game before. I was laying in bed about to go to sleep, and I had Derrick Henry on my fantasy team that year, and he takes off of that, and I had to rewind it. I was like, I couldn't have just seen this. I had a fever dream. This is weird, but he's just, oh man, I just love me some Derrick Henry. Okay. LeBaron Philon staying in the NBA draft. This is the worst kept secret in the world. We knew it.
That's something we were right about. That's something we talked about the day that he's not coming back. That was yet another thing we're right about.
Wish he would.
Second time we were right about something this year.
We're already on pace to beat last year's things we're right about. But okay, so I'm just 100% pulling for him. And here's the other thing I'm pulling for. I'm pulling for Tahad Pettiford to get that first round grade, and he showed out yesterday, so he might. But now, does Alabama turn somewhere? And Nate Oates was asked about this at the Regions golf tournament yesterday, and he seemed to be, I hate to say aloof, or flippant. He was just he wasn't super concerned. He's like, we don't necessarily have to have a true point guard, is actually something he said, I think. And I was thinking, okay, what a weird thing to say, but maybe he's right.
He pointed out that even Herb Jones was very effective playing the point when he played, but he also, Aiden Holloway is a point guard, so he's going to play most of the minutes there. And I can't imagine there will be too many times where we just want to take Holloway out, on next year's team. But finding a second point guard, it seems important to me. It didn't seem very important to Nate. Nate feels that Latrell Wrightsell, who actually played point guard, at his previous stop, Wrightsell can certainly play the point, assuming he's healthy. Houston Mount can handle the ball. And of course the combo guard from Davion Hannah, I think he can play a little point guard too. So Luke's right. Nate didn't seem to be too obsessed with it. I think as fans, I think that's something we seem to stress about it more than Nate does, and he would know better than us. He also indicated that he's cool with playing with the 11 we got, but he is hoping to add at least one. Seems like they're going to keep one spot open. And he said this, and I think people should pay attention to it. I don't know what guy he has in mind, but he said, and they're like, well, what players are there players out there you're recruiting? He specifically said, well, there's some guys at the combine that may withdraw, from the draft that are in the portal. Now, obviously, Boogie Flam was one of those guys. I think he's most likely headed to Florida, but a player like Boogie Flam who could pull out of the NBA draft, that might be somebody they're interested in.
Yeah, I'll make this prediction too, and this is not a shot at Nate. This is nothing. I mean, I think that all coaches kind of go through this, and then the great ones adapt, like Nick Saban did when he realized, okay, maybe I need to get on board with some of this going faster stuff and having a more mobile quarterback stuff. But I think this could be a moment for Nate where Nate's really, really confident in himself. Nobody's ever said Nate Oates isn't confident, and he believes in himself, and he should, because he's awesome, and I love him. But I think this may be a situation where if we don't get another point guard, I'm scared this will bite us a little bit. Yeah, I really do. And then I feel like the next year he'll say, okay, well, I'm changing that philosophy, because I'm not going to be a coach that's just going to keep hitting my head against the wall. And I think he'll make sure he has somebody that runs it. Now, maybe I'm out of bounds here. I'm just saying that I think this scares me more than it scares him. He gets paid a lot more to do this, so hopefully he's correct. But it worries me a little bit. I hope we get another point guard.
Yeah, and I wonder. I hope, and people don't need to take it as a criticism. It's more of a philosophical wondering of things. Nate doesn't seem to be. I think part of his philosophy, unlike us, he doesn't seem to think that his team needs to fit into the neat holes of a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. He doesn't seem to think, hey, I need a 1, I need a 2, I need a 3. He seems to kind of operate on positionless basketball. Like, well, I kind of need somebody who's sort of a 1, and then I need about 3 wing guys, and I do need like a rim protector. And that's kind of his positions. And that's really like only 3 positions. And he's sort of really committed to that. And this system is working, and he's a genius for coming up with it. I would just say, don't get so committed to it that because a football analogy would be what was in vogue for a while is they called the positionless defender. He's so athletic. You want to fill your team with positionless defenders that are so athletic they can do a bunch of things. That came in, and now it seems to be on the way out about as fast as it showed up, because you know why? Those guys aren't really good at any one thing. Like you've got to, there's a reason that they do things the way they do them. And sometimes innovation can go a little too far. So I think that's kind of what we're talking about. Like, maybe we need to be slightly more traditional when it comes to the position thing. Maybe.
I remember Illinois in the late 80s had a team that was made up of all like Marcus King and a bunch of other dudes that were all like 6'8", and everybody's like, this is going to be the new way to do things. And that lasted about a minute because everybody was like, well, you're right. Not sure that this guy, they all do everything okay, but nobody's a real threat to do anything. And
the thing about the positionless defender is, here's another cliche that's so true. You know, the jack of all trades is a master of none. That's your positionless defender.
Really quickly, softball plays tomorrow, and very excited about that. They got it's not the easiest draw in the world. They got Virginia Tech, who they went 1-1 against. This Virginia Tech squad's good. They could have hosted.
Belmont's got a big-time pitcher, and all it takes is one pitcher to sort of dominate a regional, and Belmont does have a pitcher who's put up extraordinary numbers against Belmont-type competition. Let's see how she does against the Virginia Techs and the Alabamas. But I like Alabama's chances to advance on the regional, which would be a big deal, make the top 16, and give yourself a chance to go to the World Series, although it would be an uphill climb next week. But let's not worry about next week until next week. Let's don't diminish accomplishment. And it's a huge accomplishment to host a regional and win one. Let's not diminish accomplishment to these girls. They work really hard for this stuff, and it's a big deal to hoist that trophy on Sunday.
That's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.